Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. This is one of your hosts, Tyson Roush, and believe it or not, we are like 2 weeks from training camp. So if you want to talk about the 2018 season, or if you want to talk about Kirk Cousins, or you want to talk about tanking, there are plenty of other podcasts to listen to because this is not the show for you. Those are the shows. Anyway, we're just going to move along here and introduce the man of the people. So hopefully has some positivity in him. He's inspired. Joe from Long Beach, what's up, man?
What's going on, Ty, man? I'm always positive. I'm just always excited, man. I can't wait to get into the show because, listen, I am the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote our Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search Long Beach Joe. Like that page. Our content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message us. We'll message you right back. Also, leave us some feedback, man. We love hearing about what you guys think we do here on Let's Talk Jets. So without further ado, Ty, let's get into the show, man. I am fired up.
Yeah, and as always, please subscribe. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn.com, Instagram, Twitter. We're pretty much all over the place. We're on Google Play, whichever the hell that means. I don't even know what it means, but I know we're on there. So, subscribe, leave us feedback. We appreciate all the support, the listens, and everything else. And like I said, we're less than 2 weeks away from training camp. So, we've kind of discussed pretty much everything this entire offseason. So before we talk more about this team, I just want to thank everybody because it's been a long off season. We've dealt with a lot, retaining McCagnon, retaining Bowles, and cutting half the team and half the guys that shouldn't have been cut, and all these different things we've talked about. So we just want to thank everybody to continue to listen to us and calling in and interacting with us because, Joe, this off season was a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, it absolutely was, man. A lot of rough times going into the off season. The season itself was extremely disappointing. The ups and downs of the off season. I know a lot of fans wanted to chase after a lot of, really high name free agents and sign those guys. And, going out through the draft, there was a lot of, people that two safeties in the first and second round. Some people, were great with it. Some people agree with it. Some people are left them scratching their heads. But, all in all, I want to thank every single person that listens to the show. I want to thank everyone that, for whatever reason, hits me up on social media. We go back and forth about the Jets all the time. I love all you guys, man. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for sticking around and listening to us every Tuesday.
Yeah, we want to thank Primetime, too, the producer who gives us sound bites and things, and he deals with our chaos. And I know we've had some rough shows this offseason. I know I went off the edge a couple times just due to the stupidity of this team at times. But it is what it is. And Joe, like I said, if you want to talk about the 2018 season, if you want to talk about the quarterback class of next year and all this other nonsense, call somewhere else, man. Because, what I don't understand is, did we wait the entire offseason to see this team get back on the field? Why in the living hell would I wait to next year? I'm not worried about next year. I can't wait to see my favorite team play in 2 weeks. I can't wait to see, all of this come to fruition now. All the speculation is going to be gone. All the predictions, all the negativity, all the tanking, all this nonsense is over with. Now we're going to talk about football on the field, and I'm excited about it. I don't care about 2018 right now.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm looking for, as you said, to watch this team get on the field because a lot of these questions that people are asking right now or a lot of the speculations about who we could go after in 2018, the answer to filling that position might be on this team right now. That's the importance of this season is to figure out who fits here and who doesn't. So that then we go into next year, then you can address those needs if need be. But I'm not interested in chasing after any guy or talking about chasing after guys right now. I want to see this football team on the field. I want to see this football team go out there and compete, see who's playing at this highest level and see who's actually going to be there once the season starts and see how we perform, man. That's what I'm about. I cannot wait to see the Jets get out there.
Yeah, man. Listen, right now I am just on the Hackenberg train. I can't wait to see him take the field and see what he brings to the table. And the thing is this, because, listen, it is too easy right now for all these piss-ass websites to say Hackenberg sucks. Hackenberg sucks. Let's get somebody else. It's so easy to write these articles, just bet the Jets are the worst team, some other nonsense power ranking, all this other clickbait-driven dribble. It's easy. Mm-hmm. I get it. The Jets are rebuilding. We have a lot. I tell you, the shirt to make is if. We understand there's a lot of unknowns on this team. So, but you know what? It's over with. Let's just see what happens now, and I'm excited to see it. I go into with an open mind and zero expectation. Because seriously, do you have any expectations? I expect 3 or 4 wins. The season could be a mess. I have no idea. But I'm open-minded. Hopefully it all works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But the expectations are limited to begin with.
Yeah. Only thing I expect is for players to go out there and give it their all. That is the only thing I'm expecting. I want to see competent football out there. I want to see guys go out there, play hard, and do the best they can. If anyone going into this season expecting a certain type of record or expecting to make the playoffs, I'm telling you're expecting the wrong things. I want to see young guys going out there competing every single game and giving it their all. And again, us being able to evaluate those guys based on their performances and figuring out if they're the guys we can move forward with and build with this team or if they're not. And we need to address that further. That's all that I'm expecting. This is the year where we're finding out what works and what doesn't.
That's it. I mean, if you're not excited about seeing all these young guys getting after it, then go cheer for the Giants. Go cheer for the Eagles. Go be a bandwagon fan. Cheer for the Cowboys. Because, dude, it's like, how do you not – you look at – when we picked apart this team, just looking at the potential weaknesses, the unknowns, the concerns, all this. But at the same time, you go, listen, look at this defense. 2 safeties are going to fly around. A defensive line, if they're motivated, could do damage. The linebacker. There's so many moving parts that you're just excited to see what happens. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
You get ready to watch a movie, and you have no idea what's going to happen. Is it going to be a horror story? Is it going to be a comedy? Is it going to be a – you know what I mean? You have no idea you're getting ready to watch, but I'm excited to watch it. Seriously, dude. This could be a horror story, or this could be like a romance. It could be just a train wreck. Who knows? But if you're not excited about it, then go cheer for somebody else. Seriously, I'm so tired. And you know what I'm tired of too? This really pisses me off, Joe. I'm going to tell you what pisses me off. I'm so tired of getting mentions on social media. Can you please check out my article and give me feedback? Can you please check out our podcast? No, I don't want to check out none of your stuff. Everybody's saying the same goddamn thing. I don't care. I know you don't care. Create some unique content and do your own stuff. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to read your stuff, and I don't want to listen to it either. Seriously. How many times did you hear negative things about the Jets? Today we got a guy tweeted us 5 replacements for Todd Bowles in 2018. Are you that bored with your life, man? Do you have nothing else better to do? Go for a walk in the park. Maybe go hit a golf ball. Maybe go on a date. Do something more important than writing an article about 5 coaches for next year, right?
Wow, you're bringing the fire right now. You are going off tonight. What I will say is, I understand, everybody has their own perspectives on the team, and people tweet me, in their articles and things. I check them out, from time to time, but I think what people
most of them steal our stuff.
Hey, shots fired. Listen.
It's the truth.
Listen. I love it. I love everybody. All right, look. I think what we need to focus on is what's going to happen on the field this year for us. You talked about the movie stuff, and I started laughing because that is hilarious. I'm hoping that it'll be a horror for our opponents. I don't hope we'll be sitting back watching a horror movie, throughout the entire season with this team. I'm looking for this team, again, I'm looking for us to find the building blocks finally, and also answer a lot of questions that we feel, aren't necessarily clarified, Is Sheldon Richardson a guy we can move forward with? What kind of performance does he have? Is Muhammad Wilkerson the defensive lineman, that we paid? Is he going to turn around and be the guy, or is he what we saw last year? Just so many questions there. You brought up our secondary. You got 2 young safeties that are flying around. Those are young rookies. We'll see what we get out of them as well. But, hey, who is Justin Burris? Can he be a number 1 corner? What about Buster Screen? Is this guy going to have a bounce-back year? Can we move him around again? There's so many questions to be asked, not just with the players, either coaching as well. When the hell is Casey Rogers going to get it together? Is he going to figure out that defensive linemen shouldn't be linebackers? Is that the year? Is this the year it's going to be, where he figures that out? Tune in. Is Todd Bowles going to get a grip out there and be, a solid coach? These are all things that we need to be looking forward to seeing and finally getting answers for this season. That's the only thing we need to be worried about. I understand people are excited. I understand people, They want this team to be competitive every single year. And even though, again, if you look at this roster, you can't say that we're going to be necessarily super competitive. We're definitely probably not going to make the playoffs, nothing like that. But, I think people get so ahead of themselves and they're so ready to try to fill, perceived holes that they're almost looking past the evaluation process. And that's an extremely important process in the NFL, and that's what this year is about, evaluating.
And I'll take it a step further. Mike McCagnon gets evaluated this year too, because now you've gutted this roster. He's gutted the roster, and there's still some pieces here that should be moved. I mean, in my opinion, if Sheldon gets through training camp, healthy and starts playing well, there's still a trade deadline this year. You can ship off Sheldon. There's still moves to be made here. And, hey, listen, if Ezekiel Elliott gets suspended in Dallas, hey, you want Matt Forte? I'll talk about it. Talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Mike McCagnon, this roster is still a work in progress. And furthermore, this quarterback position. See, it's easy this entire offseason. This team has done a good job of saying open competition, blah, 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 all this great stuff to make us fans happy. Well, now it comes to actions. Actions are louder than words. Yeah. Last year you talked the talk, and you just fell over it. You tripped over yourselves, and you made a mess of everything. Now you have a chance to actually follow up on your words and create the culture, Joe. And this is it. Listen, open competition everywhere. No spot should be safe other than Leonard Williams. That's it. Everybody else, you got to earn it, and that's up to McCagnon and Bowles to enforce it. They as a unified group got to say, listen, you're not playing well enough. We don't care how much you make. On the bench you go. Or if Hackenberg's close or Petty's close, sorry, McCown, you go to bench. This front office and coaching staff, Joe, has got to enforce early, set the culture, set the tone, and create competition and just accountability.
Yeah, and that's kind of the ship they rode in on. And we talked about that, this accountability thing constantly. And last year we did not see that. We saw guys loafing and being able to get away with such. Like you said, man, this is the year where they need to enforce that. You got a group of young guys, man. This is part of the rebuilding process is also, like you said, changing that attitude. If you cannot ship these young guys into shape and you can't make sure that they know, hey, this is our base, this is our foundation, we compete every day, we go out there, we work our butts off, and then game day we go out there and we absolutely, do whatever we can do to destroy the team that's put in front of us, you're going to have a long couple of years, and you're going to have a heck of a time really trying to rebuild this team without an actual sound foundation of we work hard every day. Every other franchise in the league that is constantly competing, at the playoff level every single year, that's always a threat to win, the Super Bowl or just challenge every single year, have that mindset. They go out there every day. On defense, they protect every blade of grass. On offense, they're just looking to absolutely just destroy you with whatever their game plan is. So I'm looking forward to see that as well. And also, this year is going to answer a lot of questions about McCagnon's draft, coming up too. Did he get enough talent in here? A lot of these guys are going to be showing up. We're asking questions about Lorenzo Malden. There's other questions for other than the draft. Well, Bryce Petty, we'll see what he is and what he isn't too. So you're right. This is the year that McCagnon will also be evaluated as well.
And most importantly, this year you're going to learn who your true leaders are and who your enforcers are. And that's one thing where this team fell apart last year. The one thing, I read a lot of books about, leadership, from Bill Parcells, Pat Riley, all these guys. All these successful coaches, even Bill Belichick, they have enforcers in the locker room, whether it was Pepper Johnson, Brian Cox. There's always a guy. I mean, Rex Ryan had Bart Scott. You have guys in there that hold their teammates accountable. Last year, they all just pointed fingers. They all quit. Brandon Marshall quit. All of them. They all quit. To a man, they just gave up. Revis, they just packed it in. This year, you need guys that buy into the culture, buy into the system, and become Todd Bowles lieutenants. Where they're like, listen, this is the way we do business. If you don't like it, you're out. Whether that's Leonard Williams, Quincy Enunwa, Jamal Adams. But, Joe, you need these guys to emerge day one of camp, where when you're doing sprints, you're the first guy running, you're the last guy. You're the first guy in the locker room, you're the first guy in the weight room. These are the guys that have to start enforcing the message that's being laid out by Bowles and hold their teammates accountable. I mean, we talked to Marcus Coleman, a couple months ago. He said, listen, you go in the locker room with Mo Lewis and Kevin Mawae and all these guys, there is no, slacking off. Victor Green, you have to do what you're supposed to do or you can get called out on it. That culture has to be established by our leadership on this team this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already kind of seen some of that as well. We talk about Leonard Williams, not just on the field being a leader, not just in the locker room being a leader, but off the field. We've seen him, kind of step up and pull teammates out of situations that, they didn't even need to get in. They could have gotten a lot. I didn't say all that.
I said it.
I didn't bring up all that. Well, okay,
we
all
know
what it is. Hey, the feds is watching. Listen, I'm just saying.
I don't
we've seen we've seen Leonard Williams step up off the field and, pull his teammates out of situations that could have gotten worse. Hey, I'm stepping up. I'm a leader on this football team. I don't want to see you get, either disgrace your name or disgrace the team either, or get yourself suspended. So when you have guys like that in your locker room, and you brought up other names as well that I was going to talk about, Quincy and Enunwa, Jamal Adams is already out there. They've talked about him in camp, a guy that's being vocal out there on the field as well, and he's a hard worker in the locker room too, So we're going to see a lot of these other guys step up as well. I'm looking, not just on defense, but on offense too. There's going to be some guys as well. We've already heard about, the work ethic of Bilal Powell and other guys in there as well. But that is definitely going to be a focal point too, is who's going to step up and be the leaders of this locker room? Who's going to be your enforcers? Who's going to be the guys that are going to be in there pushing guys to work tirelessly? Not just that as well, is Todd Bowles going to step up and be a leader as well? We talked about that too. When guys and things were going on in the locker room, there was a lot of times where he did nothing. He just sat right back when the offense was sliding down the hill. Didn't even go into a meeting. Is he a guy that's going to be able to be leaned upon? Because this new offensive coordinator, he's got a lot of, coaches that have just gotten here. They're going to lean on him as well and look to him to be a leader. He's going to have to be a guy that's going to have to step into those offensive meetings and maybe give a word or two. He talked about it as well, that he's going to be more involved in his offense. What is that going to bring about? So, again, there's going to be a lot of questions within the leadership roles and how we're going to move forward with that as well.
Yeah, and it has to start day one, dude. I'm serious. The day they report, the first thing you want to see is everybody reporting to camp in shape, not like this Revis nonsense where he was, 15 pounds overweight and nobody called him out on it. But you come in shape and you work hard day one, and the tone is set day one. But, it's going to be interesting, man. Like, and hopefully we get to go to the first couple of days of practice. We'll check it out. But you want to see it. I want to see guys that are vocal, passionate, that care, and they want to get better every day. Nobody slacking off. Nobody making excuses. Because, listen, at this point, dude, it's you against the world. If you're the New York Jets, you got to look in your locker room and say, you know what? It's us against the world. We have to have our own pride because everybody says we suck. We're the worst team in football. We're going to win 2 or 3 games. We have no chance. It's a miserable season. You got to say, listen, we have to rally ourselves because we have nobody else but ourselves. I mean, half this fan base already quit on you. The game didn't even start yet. The fan base already quit on you.
Exactly.
They're wearing goddamn tank T-shirts, which is already embarrassing. Yeah. So you got to say, listen, you know what? The fans aren't on our side. The media definitely hates us. So we have to go us against the world and just prove everybody wrong. And that's the mind that you have to have. And listen, if they have an attitude and a chip on their shoulder, Joe, I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think there's already been guys that have come out and talked about that. Matt Forte was one of the guys that came out and talked about that. I think that is going to be a rallying point for this team, especially this young team. Not just the media, not just, the media is going to be all over them. The media has been all over them already about, hey, this team is awful. Like you said, we've seen these multiple articles, not just written by, small-time blogs, but also ESPN has talked about it possibly being the worst roster in the entire league, So when you have all that on top of you, it really does create a me against the world, a us against the world kind of thing. And like you said, even some people in this fan base are saying, hey, this team is, trash, and we need to just scrap and get rid of everybody. So when you have guys in that locker room huddling around that and saying, you know what, nobody believes in us, nobody believes that we're talented, we're going to go out and show them that, I think that's going to be a rallying point for them, man. And I think that will build cohesion as well, because they're going to have to depend on each other out there.
No, I completely agree. And the interesting part of the whole thing is this team, in some aspects, is like the New York Yankees. And the reason why, I'll explain this. Heading into this season, dude, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. I thought this season was going to be a mess. I'm like, oh, my God, young guys everywhere, some pitching. They didn't really spend it. It's just so many question marks. I'm like, they're going to win 75 games. Hopefully the young guys play well, and we'll see what happens next year. And then lo and behold, dude, they come out fast. And they start winning games. You're like, wait a minute. Judge is hitting home runs every other day and all this other nonsense. But now they come back to reality a little bit. They come back to reality. Now it's going to be a struggle to make the playoffs for the Yankees. The similarities with the Jets is they're kind of in the same boat. And it would be interesting to see, Joe, if this team starts out 2-1, 3-1, does the season of no expectations make this all of a sudden a year like, hey, you know what? We better make the playoffs. Because, dude, the Yankee fan mindset has changed. People are pissed now. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, this is gravy. We never thought we were going to be here. But now, could that happen with the Jets where we're all saying, listen, 5 wins, hopefully we play all right? Do you think we'll get to a point in the season where it's like, hey, you know what? We better go 8-8 or 9-7 because we had a fast start?
It would it really depends on how we looked out there on the football field. If we're out there and we're just dominating teams and guys are playing way better than we expected, I could see that possibly becoming an expectation. But realistically, again, when you look at this team, and I think we've been so prepared with all of the cuts and all of the, the players that we've gotten rid of, and it looks like from the outside looking in, like the franchise going into the rebuild mode. We've talked about this constantly on this show about, stripping the team down and trying to figure out where it was. I don't even think starting fast like that we could expect, for them to make the playoffs. I think it would be nice, it'd be like, oh, okay, we put together, we won 3 games out of 5. All right, I see that. Or maybe we won, 3 games out of 4. Okay, that's great. But just going down the stretch, I don't think that would become, I don't think fans would get pumped up about that and really start to feel like that could become a reality until you were later, maybe deeper on into the season, where you realistically looked at it and said, oh, we really do have a chance. We're not just, out here struggling. We really do have a chance to make the playoffs. But again, when you look at this roster, you can't have super high expectations. I think there's talent here. There's talent in certain spots, but there's so many questions that need to be answered. You'd have to see players go out there and perform consistently throughout the season to build that expectation up.
No, I agree. Like, it's interesting, man. Like, I was trying to think of, try to equate the Yankees and the Jets. I'm like, the Jets would have to be 6-4 or something like that, or 5-3, or somewhere you're like, all right, 6 wins. You figure 9 probably makes the playoffs. Can we probably find a way? But I'm like, it'd have to be pretty significant. And then the other question would be like, who's quarterback in this mess? If it's 6 wins with McCown, you're like, oh my God, this is Ryan Fitzpatrick all over again. So that's like, you got to hope that if they are having success, it's with a young quarterback, whether it's Petty or Hackenberg. Yeah. That's the other thing. That's to be honest with you, that's probably my biggest fear right now, is that they come out of camp with McCown as a starter, which I'd say probably a 75% chance of that actually happening, and they start winning. Joe, that would be the biggest problem, because if you don't get at least, I would say at least 10 games out of Hackenberg this year, I think this season's a waste.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that would be a nightmare to have that guy, like you said, and I've said it. I said it when he got signed, and people were constantly, this would be Fitzpatrick all over again, and it would bring about the questions of, does Mike McCagnon actually have a plan for the quarterback position here? Because he hasn't really made a bright decision about the quarterback position since he's been here. And so you look at this situation, if McCown starts this season, that's less time that you have to evaluate Petty, and that's also less time that you have to evaluate Hackenberg. And that's just a nightmare, man. Two draft picks, one a second-round pick and another guy you traded up for that you just don't have answers for. And it's just that just would be unacceptable, So I wouldn't want to see that at all either. But, I would hope that if we were winning, or if the team was out there looking good and we were showing some flashes getting better, I would hope and pray that it will be behind a young quarterback calling the shots back there and running the offense.
No, I agree, man. The last thing you want to have occur is that you go through this entire season and there's players, when you have comments from Casey Rogers like, yeah, he should have played some more. No kidding, jackass. No kidding. Like, there's no reason why Justin Burris and Doug Milton shouldn't have played last year more than they did. You can't leave this season with that kind of – dude, you can't. You can't leave this season with any questions. Every guy that you think is a building block or has potential to be part of the future has to see significant playing time. Because, listen, to be honest, you know what guys aren't going to be here next year. Well, Forte's not going to be here. McCown's not going to be here. Half these guys, Mo and Sheldon probably both aren't going to be here, at least Sheldon. Mo's no guarantee either. So you got to start working all these young guys in and seeing what you have, and no excuses. If the playing time is there, they have to get – you can't say, Joe, like week 15, oh, you know what, man, what a missed opportunity. This guy should have played more. No, he should be playing now. Because when you go into this offseason with $80 million in cap space and probably a high draft pick, you need to maximize every resource to get this rebuild in full speed. And you can't be like, what if, could have, should have. You can't, no stone unturned. Everybody has to, you have to know what you have this year without any excuses.
Yeah, and especially at the quarterback position. That's probably, the most important position on this team. If you go into next year's draft with all these quarterbacks that are coming out, even without my guy, Darnold, even if he stays in, which is fine. SC is the home of champions. we would be more than happy to keep you, my friend. But if he stays and doesn't go, now we get looed out here. What kind of crap is that? You know what I mean? What kind of crap is that? Great team, you get booed, whatever. So anyway, in case Darnold decides to stay, there's other guys that are going to be in this draft that could answer that question for us. There is no way that you can go into next year with all that money and like you said, a high draft pick and not have an answer at that quarterback position, not have an answer whether these young guys can perform at this level or not perform at this level, and have all those guys available to you to fix that problem. That would just be an absolute travesty.
And I'll take it a step further. I mean, you're talking about quarterback. You got to talk about corner, pass rusher, everywhere. You need to know with all your young secondary brings table, Burris, Darryl Roberts, all these guys. You got to hope. Like I said, listen, you give Malden the best chance to succeed, Jordan Jenkins, all these guys, dude. And then the young receivers, put them all out there too. Because if you have a top 5, top 6 pick next year, and say Hackenberg plays well, you may have a chance to get that pass rusher or an elite corner or whatever it is. So you need to know what you have. And you can't be hiding these guys on the bench because there's no veteran on this team worth benching these players for. Seriously, Shelton's going to be gone. Mo could be gone. Who else is there? I mean, there's nobody really else left. So I can't wait, man. But listen, Todd Bowles and his staff has their hands full, but a lot of this is just common sense and basic football strategy. You see what you have. Yeah. And there's the expectations are low. The fan base already knows it. The half full stadium will show it. So, I mean, this isn't rocket science. And if he screws this up, Joe, this show will be unbearable for about 12 weeks. I guarantee you.
Believe me, I know it. You'll be on here just going off. But, yeah, I look at this situation and I say to myself, like you said, pass rusher, corner. You're looking at this at the team wide receiver, but I don't necessarily think there's any veterans that can kind of get in. Tight end. Yeah, well, ASJ and Leggett as well. I think they'll be fine there. But I think when you look at the situation, I think the quarterback position is, again, it's the most important position on the team, but it's the most directly affected by, I think, a veteran guy that could end up taking it. Like, who's really going to take Lorenzo Malden's spot? I mean, when he's playing it his correct way, I think he's the best outside linebacker that we have. Jordan Jenkins, I think, is going to be out there. Lee is going to be out there. I think the only guy, that's kind of questionable out there, and he's already a veteran himself, is Demario Davis. His spot could be taken. When you look at our corner position, I think Burris is going to fit out there. Maybe Claiborne could take that other position, but can he stay healthy? That's a major concern. So Roberts, Buster Screen, we've seen those guys, So I don't think there's anyone necessarily standing in the way from a lot of those other young guys making it the way that McCown is standing in Petty and Hack's way. Like things that I'm hearing about in camp where he could seriously end up being the starter here. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of articles, and we see him out there in practice where he's taking a lot of snaps, and he could actually end up pulling this off. And I think that would absolutely destroy this team.
Yeah, no, it definitely would. And we're going to go to our guest now. And like you mentioned, the corners, it's like Claiborne with his injury history, Justin Burris, a complete unknown, and Marcus Williams. Which Marcus Williams are we going to see? Which Buster Screen are we going to see? The Buster Screen from year one, or the Buster Screen that was lost last year? And I like Buster. I mean, but dude, this secondary is going to be tested everywhere, and put them out there. And if they keep getting roasted, bring the next guy. Like I said, the goal for this year is no questions. You need to know what you have on your roster.